Welcome to Elevate the Game, where DFW's top leaders drop gems on success, strategy, and legacy with your hosts, George Abreu and Eric Badiwala. Let's get into it.
Today, we welcome Christina Miner, a healthcare staffing executive with over 15 years of leadership experience and currently AMN's change management leader for its top strategic initiatives. Her background spans operations, recruiting, workforce solutions, and executive leadership across multiple divisions within the organization. We're going to explore how she drives large-scale transformations, builds high-performance teams, and shapes culture in one of the nation's leading healthcare staffing companies. Hey, Christina, can you give us a quick snapshot of your business, what you do, and kind of how you got into the space and what you're doing now?
Sure, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. So AMN Healthcare it was founded on travel nursing, which is this idea that there's vacancies within hospitals. And so fill in those voids with temporary healthcare professionals. This was founded 40 years ago. At the beginning, it was nurses, and then through the years, expanded to allied healthcare professionals, physicians, and now even more expansive depth that we offer today. So we are publicly traded in one of the nation's top staffing agencies and workforce solutions. My particular role, I came into AMN as an entry-level person, sort of right out of school, working as a recruiter, which is more of like a sales role, and found my way, working my way up the corporate ladder, if you will, into leadership, operations, and have had the opportunity to serve in a number of different roles across the enterprise at AMN, because we have so many different service lines and businesses. And that has been one of the most exciting parts about my journey, is that I didn't just do one particular thing, but I've been able to take my leadership skills throughout the different areas of the organization and different functions, which I think really contributes to allowing this big picture.
That's awesome. So you've really been able to kind of work your way up the ladder, like they say, within that business. That's amazing. So I know there's a lot of competition when it comes to staffing agencies. I know whenever I'm looking for someone in any of my businesses, I get hit up left and right by staffing agencies. What would you say, with all that competition, what separates your company from others?
That's a great question. And you're right, there is a lot of competition. I think my beginning as a recruiter is certainly like the entry point of which a candidate starts to engage with a company. So that relationship building, being able to establish the trust and rapport, that's critically important to even just have that initial touch point. However, going into 2026 and the capability of technology in engaging the candidate pool that's available is crucially important. So using the ability, whether it's understanding where these types of candidates, you can use data, it tells you a story about the candidates that you're speaking to. And with a smart enough system and technology to support the work that you're doing, you can anticipate what their next move might be and be proactive with communication and engaging them at the right time. So it's a combination going into reaching out, the touch point, stay engaged in the candidate, but then ultimately, once you do have an engaged candidate, really making sure that you're connecting with that person and doing it quickly, because this market changes fast. And the first connection point is really going to be critical.
That's crazy. I've never thought of that. So you're saying with all the data and the AI now, you can almost predict when somebody's looking to make a move, kind of.
You can also predict, like you can learn about healthcare professionals based on where they've worked, based on like certain codes and billing codes. There's a lot of complexities that you can learn about candidates and the type of procedures that they've done. So what they might be more interested in. depending on what the specialty is, whether it's physician staffing or nursing, you can really learn a lot about the candidate, and use that knowledge to drive and sort of sell what opportunities you have.
Wow. That's that's interesting. So, it must have not been easy kind of working your way up the ranks there. What would you say what's one thing that comes easy to you that maybe others find very challenging?
I think that I have the ability to look at things in a holistic way. Typically, when you're working in a large company, you might just be looking at the sliver of work that you're contributing to. But in order to solve big problems, you have to be able to see the big picture, and not just focus on the one area that you might be accountable or responsible for, but what is the whole end to end, and where are all of the little pain points or things that can be improved across there. So I think it's my secret sauce is that not only have I worked at my company, I've also done the role of the various functions to be able to help come together and problem solve, um, the issues of today, which don't worry, there'll be new issues of tomorrow.
Very true, very true. That's a yeah, no, that's a great answer, and it might even could even be a good answer for my next question. But if someone listening right now is looking to get better and kind of grow in their career, let's say they like where they're at as far as the company, and they're just looking to how can they continue to grow with that company. What would you say? What do you suggest that they do? Number one thing.
Um, the number one thing I would say is to invest in yourself, and and there's a lot of ways that you can do that. And so depending on what field of work or what your interests are, but I think one of the best investments that you could make is creating connection with those around you. Learn about other people, what their roles entail, what their scope is, so that you can ask questions, be inquisitive. And there's so much that you can learn just from understanding those around you, and you can become better. And I know you said just one thing, but don't shy away from a good challenge, and communicate, what your goals and aspirations are to your leaders and those above you.
Okay, so don't always stay safe, right, and kind of put yourself out there and go for the
Yes,
challenge.
yes, absolutely.
I like that. Okay, so that's a lot of positive things. What's maybe what's the biggest challenge you've had throughout your career, and how were you able to overcome it?
That's a great question. The thing about uh, the thing that you don't see on LinkedIn or behind the curtain of every good leader is all the failures and disappointments that they've had across their career. And so, what you can't see from my LinkedIn profile is the time I didn't get the promotion, the time I wasn't the candidate selected, the time they said they needed an external hire. You're great at your role, but we're looking for somebody outside. So it's in those moments that things that you take the circumstances and whatever those might be, and you determine how that defines you. You have the ability to determine what feedback you're going to accept. This is one of my tricks, is that I determine what I accept and what I'm going to work on. So that is, so I take a couple of those things because it is so crazy how it's so invisible, but leaders struggle too, just as much as your normal person does. So don't let the title or anything fool you from those who are working around. There's been disappointments, setbacks, failures, and promotions not achieved. And there's actually so much that is learned out of failure than sometimes than achieving the next goal.
Yeah, I don't think I know anybody that's highly successful that has never failed. It seems like unfortunately, you have to have some of those failures to grow and learn from them. I think the issue is when you don't learn from them and you continue to
Hmm.
fail, and you definitely shouldn't fail at the same thing more than once. You know, you got to learn and kind of adjust. But yeah, no, that's a great one for sure. So, you know, it sounds like you've been pretty busy throughout the years. You know, I talked to a lot of busy professionals, and a lot of them start looking towards the future and creating, you know, how can they create passive income or, you know, certain investments to where it's not all on the active side. And, you know, if you wanted to stop working, that you would still have some income coming in. So I don't know if what your thoughts are about that, and if you've made any moves outside of, you know, just building your career.
No, that's a great question. I do put a certain so my financial strategy for myself. So I am a mom to four kids, and
Nice.
so with kids comes a lot of responsibility. So I've actually I started this even before, like as I had a new kid, I opened a new specific account that would then blossom at 18. So that's been one of my methods, is creating different pathways for my income to be accounted for so that it will the growth I'll receive the maximum amount of growth during the time of which it's put into each one of those pockets. And that's been my primary method of preparing for the future. And I know that I'm not talking about retiring, but I'm mostly talking about my kids getting old and they're going to suck me dry. And I always have thought about, because I'm one of four myself, and I watched my parents have to make financial decisions and choices. You know, I'm sure they wanted to do so much more. So I have tried in my future planning to have like an equity about, regardless of how you spend it or where you spend it, there's this set sort of fund for you as you enter into adulthood. So that's one way that we're planning for the future, and what seems like more immediate because three of my four kids are in high school.
Mm.
Um, but I do definitely continue to invest in my own retirement plan, and that will be our plan. And then my partner is a disabled veteran, and so she also has strong interest in like stocks as well. So we've started, not heavily, but we've also been looking at that as well.
Dabbling in the
Yes,
stuff.
dabbling. That's the best way to say it.
Um, and those seeds that you kind of planted, is that just in a CD type or
Sort of,
savings
yeah. Like, so
account
it has
or
an expiration in which I can withdraw it. So
got
yes,
it, got it. And then just a 401k on the retirement or something similar.
um, it's a version of that. But it's through the services that my company offered. It's
Got
not
it.
your traditional 401k, but it's very similar.
Okay, great, great. Um, so as we're kind of wrapping up the interview, I always like asking this question if you've got any exciting plans or initiatives in the works for the next 6 to 12 months.
Oh, that's a great question. Um, so one of the so a big portion of my role is overseeing, um, it's called credentialing, which is a credentialing function, to make sure all the candidates that are working for us are active and compliant. And so we are in the beginning stages of designing a new technology for team members to be operating on. So I don't know. I can't say 18 months if it'll be live, but I have several sort of initiatives to changing what the user interface looks like in partnership with my IT team to see we can create a more efficient experience for the internal user, and that would then create a more efficient experience for the healthcare professional. So we're doing some exciting things with that.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, it sounds like that would be a big deal for sure. Well, good luck with that. thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your insights and your tips. If people want to connect with you, what would you say is the best way they can do that?
Yeah, they can certainly connect with me on LinkedIn, Christina Miner, Miner, and I'd be happy to connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Elevate the Game. If you're a mover and shaker in DFW with game to share, apply to be a guest at elevatethegamepodcast.com/guest.